Step away from the table. We need to verify your employment authorization.
I'm an American citizen. I was born in Minneapolis.
That's what they all say. Turn around.
You're arresting me for working?
$9,700,000. That's what a federal jury decided Kendra Washington's constitutional rights were worth after watching body camera footage that one juror later called the most clear-cut civil rights violation I've ever seen. But 2 years before that verdict, on a Tuesday afternoon in September, Kendra was just a waitress finishing her lunch shift, serving regulars, smiling at customers, doing a job she'd done expertly for 6 years. She had no idea that in exactly 4 minutes, federal agents would walk through the door, approach her table, and destroy her sense of safety in the country where she was born. Where you watching from? Seriously, drop your location in the comments. And if you're new here, subscribe right now, because what happens when the system targets the wrong person is something every American needs to see. You won't believe how this plays out. Kendra Washington had worked at Cedar and Sage since she was 25. Born at Hennepin County Medical Center to Lorraine Washington, a medical billing specialist at Abbott Northwestern, and Curtis Washington, who spent 32 years fixing buses for Metro Transit. She grew up on 23rd and Bloomington in South Minneapolis, Phillips neighborhood, in a small house with a chain-link fence and her mother's flower garden. Went to Roosevelt High School, ran track, middle distance, 800 meters, sang in the choir, graduated with a 3.4 GPA, got accepted to the University of Minnesota but couldn't afford tuition even with financial aid. So she worked. Full-time server, part-time student at Minneapolis Community and Technical College, taking business classes 2 nights a week because she had a dream. Own her own restaurant someday. Serve food that mattered to people who mattered. Started at Cedar and Sage as a hostess, promoted to server within 8 months. By year 3, training new staff. By year 6, head server for the lunch shift. Managing 6 people, earning enough with tips to actually save money. Had her own apartment in Powderhorn Park. A boyfriend, Marcus, who worked as a software developer. A 401k. Tax returns going back 6 years showing W-2 income reported, taxes paid, deductions taken. She voted in every election. Had a driver's license that said Minnesota in blue letters across the top. She was, in every legal sense, exactly what America claims to want. Someone working hard, playing by rules, building a future. That Tuesday started like any other. Clocked in at 10:30 a.m. Tables 8 through 14, her section near the windows overlooking Hennepin Avenue. By noon, every table full. The seasonal menu was popular. Butternut squash ravioli, walleye with wild rice, farm-to-table ingredients from within 50 miles. Kendra knew her regulars, knew Mrs. Patterson came every Tuesday for the ravioli, knew the couple at table 12 always split the salmon, knew her job, knew it well, took pride in doing it right. At 12:43 p.m., everything changed. Agent Derek Holloway pushed through the entrance, 15-year ICE veteran. 3 formal complaints for racial profiling in his file, all dismissed by supervisors who valued arrest numbers over methods. Behind him, Agents Maria Santos, Kevin Chen, Brad Mitchell. All 4 body cameras activated, recording. The overhead security camera captured their formation. Tactical vests marked ICE in white letters, scanning the dining room with methodical precision. They didn't wait to be seated. They walked directly toward Kendra's section. She was at table 11, 2 women celebrating a birthday, laughing over shared creme brulee. Kendra had just placed the check presenter when she sensed someone behind her. Too close. She turned. Holloway stood 3 feet away, Santos beside him, blocking the aisle. His body camera recorded Kendra's face, smile fading, confusion spreading in the warm afternoon light filtering through floor-to-ceiling windows. "Ma'am," his voice flat, authoritative. "Step away from the table." Kendra straightened, server instinct kicking in. "Can I help you?" "We need to verify your employment authorization." The words landed like ice water. The birthday women stopped laughing. The man at table 10 looked up from his salmon. The overhead camera captured Kendra's posture changing. Shoulders tensing, hands coming up, palms visible in an unconscious gesture of surrender. Santos's camera recorded her profile, afternoon sun catching the fear spreading across her face. Chen's camera from behind showed nearby tables turning to watch. Mitchell's showed Alex Rivera, the restaurant manager, emerging from the kitchen. I'm sorry, what? Kendra's voice carried across her section. I'm working. This is my section. Do you have documentation proving your legal right to work in the United States? Heat flooded Kendra's face. Every person in her section staring now. The birthday celebration frozen. A couple at table 12 pulling out their phone. I'm an American citizen. I was born in Minneapolis. Holloway's camera recorded his dismissive headshake. That's what they all say. We'll need to see identification. Santos's camera captured Kendra's hands beginning to tremble. Chen's recorded her glancing toward the kitchen, looking for Alex, for help, for someone to explain what was happening. The restaurant's security system showed the ripple effect. Conversations dying, heads turning, phones rising. My wallet is in my locker in the back. Kendra's throat tight. I have my Minnesota driver's license, my employee ID. Stay where you are, Santos interrupted, her camera shifting as she keyed her radio. What identification do you currently possess? I just told you, it's in my locker. I can get it. I have everything. I was born here. Alex reached them, face flushed with anger. What the hell is this? Why are you questioning my employee during service? 20 years in Minneapolis hospitality, he'd never seen anything like this. Holloway's camera turned toward him. Are you the owner? General manager. Alex Rivera, you're disrupting my business and harassing my staff. We're conducting employment verification. In the middle of lunch? In front of customers? Alex's voice rising. If you have questions, you contact corporate. You submit formal requests. You don't interrogate people on my floor. Mitchell's camera captured the scene widening. More tables stopping, more phones out, ambient noise dropping to near silence. The restaurant held its breath. Sir, we're conducting a lawful federal operation. At table 9, a woman stood. Mid-50s, silver-rimmed glasses, charcoal blazer. Sharon Feldman, employment attorney, 15 years of civil rights work. Excuse me, officers. I'm an attorney. What's your probable cause for this detention? Holloway's camera swiveled. Santos captured Sharon's expression, already building a case in real time. Ma'am, this doesn't concern you. I'm witnessing what appears to be racial profiling. That concerns me. What specific facts led you to approach this employee? That's part of an ongoing investigation. That's not an answer. Sharon stepped closer. Chen's camera recorded her movements, precise and deliberate. You're disrupting a business, interrogating a worker without probable cause. What's your justification? Mrs. Eleanor Patterson at table 8, 72, retired 5th grade teacher, widow for 6 years after her husband Tom died of cancer, came every Tuesday for the last 3 years, always requested Kendra because Kendra remembered to ask about her granddaughter, remembered she took her tea hot, not iced, remembered the small things that made a lonely widow feel seen, was fumbling with her iPhone. Her hands shook as she found the Facebook Live button. Her granddaughter in Oregon had shown her how once, but Eleanor had never had a reason to use it. Until now. Until watching federal agents handcuff the kind young woman who'd asked about her sciatica last week and recommended a heating pad. She pressed the red button. Held up her phone, trying to keep it steady despite the trembling. This is Eleanor Patterson. I'm at Cedar and Sage in Minneapolis. Federal agents are arresting a young woman who's done nothing wrong. Her name is Kendra Washington. She's been my server for 3 years. She's kind and professional and American, and they're putting handcuffs on her anyway. Viewer count in the corner. 47. 118. 293. Climbing. A man at table 13 called out, "She's worked here for years. Leave her alone." The overhead security camera showed it all. A circle forming, witnesses gathering, the lunch service transforming into something else entirely. Mitchell's camera panned across at least a dozen phones recording. "Ma'am," Holloway said, attention back on Kendra, his camera recording her hands gripping the back of a chair, knuckles bloodless. "You need to come with us for verification." "Come with you where?" Kendra's voice cracking. "I showed up for work. My manager is right here. What do you want from me?" "Official documentation at a federal facility." Have you ever watched someone's rights get violated in real time and felt powerless to stop it? Comment below, because what these 8 cameras captured over the next 12 minutes would cost the government nearly $10 million. Sharon moved closer. "Young woman, I'm Sharon Feldman. Don't answer any more questions. These agents are violating Fourth Amendment protections." Step back, ma'am, or you'll be charged with interfering. I'm an officer of the court witnessing a civil rights violation. I'm staying right here. Alex was on his phone with corporate. I need legal immediately. ICE is in my dining room trying to detain Kendra Washington. Yes, during service. Yes, customers filming everything. Mrs. Patterson's livestream, 1,243 viewers. Comments exploding. Is this real? Call the police. This is America. Ma'am, if you don't comply voluntarily, we will place you in custody. Kendra felt her vision blur with tears. I was born at Hennepin County Medical Center. My mother is Lorraine Washington. She works at Abbott Northwestern. My father is Curtis Washington. He fixed buses for Metro Transit for 32 years. I grew up on 23rd and Bloomington. I went to Roosevelt High School. What do you want me to say? We need documentation, not stories. The word hit like a slap. Santos's camera captured Kendra's face crumpling. Chen's showed Sharon Feldman's expression hardening. The overhead security camera showed the entire dining room frozen in collective disbelief. Stories? Kendra's voice barely a whisper. My life is a story to you? Holloway's hand moved to his belt, the metallic click of handcuffs releasing. All 4 audio feeds captured it. Distinct, unmistakable, terrifying. Turn around, hands behind your back. Kendra's entire body went rigid. You're arresting me for working? For suspected employment authorization violations. Turn around. Don't comply. You have rights. They have no warrant. But Kendra wasn't a lawyer. She was a waitress taught to respect authority, who'd never been in trouble, who was terrified. She turned slowly. Holloway's camera recorded his hands gripping the handcuffs. Santos's camera zoomed on Kendra's wrists as she brought them behind her back, fingers shaking violently. The birthday women at table 11 were both crying now, holding each other. The first cuff snapped around her right wrist. Click, click, click. The metal was cold, the pressure immediate. Santos's camera caught it in sharp detail, steel compressing flesh, skin pushing up on either side of the band, already showing red marks. Too tight, Kendra gasped. Holloway didn't respond. His camera recorded him pulling her left wrist back sharply. The second cuff clicked closed. 4 notches. Too tight. The chain between them short, maybe 4 inches, forcing her wrists together, shoulders pulled back unnaturally. Chen's camera captured her wincing. Mitchell's recorded Holloway testing the cuffs with a sharp upward tug. Kendra's body jerked forward, pulled off balance. The overhead security camera captured the moment from above. A young black woman in a server's apron, hands bound, surrounded by federal agents, in the middle of a restaurant dining room in broad daylight at 1:03 p.m. on a Tuesday in America. Mrs. Patterson's live stream, 2,847 viewers. Local news already dispatching a crew. The walk through the dining room felt surreal. 4 body cameras plus security footage captured it from every angle. Past table 11 where the creme brulee sat forgotten. Past Mrs. Patterson streaming live, tears on her face. Past the hostess stand where Kendra started 6 years ago. Past the mission statement on the wall about community and dignity. Out into September sunshine. At least 20 customers following, filming, shouting. Alex still on the phone. They're putting her in a van. I don't know where they're taking her. Mitchell's camera showed the unmarked white ICE van. Chen's captured Kendra's face one last time, tears streaming, mascara running, terror and disbelief. Santos's recorded Holloway's hand on her head, pushing her down into the seat. The door slammed. Through the small window, Kendra saw faces. Alex, Sharon, Mrs. Patterson, strangers who'd been eating lunch 5 minutes ago. Then the van pulled away. Stop right here for a second. Really think about what you just watched. Kendra did everything right. She showed up for work. She offered to get her ID. She explained she was born in Minnesota. None of it mattered. And now she's in the back of that van, handcuffed, heading to a detention facility, with no idea when or if she'll get out. If this makes your blood boil, you need to subscribe right now. Because what happens in that facility over the next hours will show you exactly how broken the system is when it targets the wrong person. And most people never see this side, the processing, the cells, the bureaucratic nightmare that happens after the cameras stop rolling. But I'm about to show you everything. Hit that subscribe button because you need to see what happens when an American citizen gets trapped in an immigration detention system designed for people without papers. Let's continue. The detention facility was 35 minutes outside Minneapolis. Processing started at 2:19 p.m. The intake room smelled like industrial cleaner and fear. Fluorescent lights buzzed harsh white, nothing like the warm restaurant lighting. Officer Davis at the desk, bored. Processing her 1,000th person this month. Fingers on the scanner. Kendra's hands were shaking. The glass was cold. The scanner beeped red. Hold still. She tried. Her body wouldn't cooperate. Third time, it beeped green. Right index, beep. Middle, beep. Ring, beep. Pinky, beep. The process felt eternal, each fingerprint another mark in a database where she didn't belong. Stand against the wall, face forward. The height markers behind her like a police lineup. She was 5'6". The marker hit just above her shoulder. The camera flashed, white light exploding, purple after images floating. Turn right, profile shot, flash, face forward, hold this. A placard, black text on white, a number, A94726381. Not her name, just a number. She held it against her chest. Flash. She was now in the system. Photographed. Numbered. Filed with criminals and actual immigration violators, even though she was born 3 miles from here. Empty your pockets. Arms out. Legs apart. The pat-down was efficient and humiliating. Davis's hands moving over her body, checking for weapons, contraband, anything hidden in her server uniform. Through that door. The hallway was beige, endless, smelled like decades of institutional despair. Her work shoes squeaked on linoleum. Squeak, 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 each step taking her deeper into a nightmare. The cell was 8 by 10 feet. Concrete walls painted beige gray, metal bench bolted to the wall. Toilet in the corner, no seat, no privacy. And a woman, Guatemalan maybe 30, sitting on the floor, knees to chest, staring at nothing. Exhaustion ages people. So does detention. Hola, the woman said softly. Hi, Kendra whispered. The woman gestured to the bench, offering the better seat. Small kindness in a place designed to strip humanity. Kendra sat. The metal was cold through her work pants. She pulled her knees up, wrapped her arms around them. It was 6:47 p.m. She had no idea when she'd get out, if she'd get out. The fluorescent lights never turned off. They hummed all night, constant electrical drone making it impossible to tell midnight from noon. Time became elastic, warping minutes like hours, hours disappearing into fog. Kendra didn't sleep. Couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the restaurant. Table 11, the birthday women's faces. Mrs. Patterson crying while filming. The metallic sound of handcuffs clicking. The walk past customers who knew her name. The humiliation of being paraded like a criminal through a place that had felt like family. Her wrists still hurt. 2 red bracelets of abraded skin, darkening to purple bruises. Evidence. Her body creating evidence of what they'd done to her. She traced the marks with her fingers in the dim cell, wondering if they'd photograph them, if they'd become exhibits, if anyone would care that a United States citizen had been marked like this. The Guatemalan woman in the corner shifted occasionally, sighing in her sleep. She'd been here 3 months, Officer Davis had said. 3 months, in this 8 by 10 concrete box, waiting for a system to decide her fate. Kendra had been here 12 hours and was already losing. Outside, Minneapolis was exploding. The security footage released by corporate within 2 hours. Local news aired it at 6 p.m. Federal agents handcuffing a black waitress during lunch. Sharon Feldman interviewed. Eyewitness textbook racial profiling. No warrant, no probable cause. Just an agent who saw a black woman and assumed undocumented. Social media erupted. Justice for Kendra trending. Mrs. Patterson's live stream had 47,000 views. The story going national by midnight. Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. Curtis and Lorraine Washington arrived at the facility with a folder of documents. Birth certificate with raised seal from Hennepin County. Social security card. High school diploma. Tax returns for 6 years. We need to see our daughter, Curtis demanded. You'll need to submit documentation through official channels. Official channels? Curtis's voice thundered. My daughter was born in Minnesota. Here's her birth certificate with the state seal. What else do you need? They were escorted out. Went directly to Sharon Feldman's office. Sharon looked at the birth certificate for 3 seconds. Emergency writ of habeas corpus. Filing today. The writ hit federal court Wednesday afternoon. Exhibits. Birth certificate, social security card, tax returns, employment verification, affidavits from Alex, Sharon, Mrs. Patterson. Stills from 8 cameras showing the entire detention. Judge Patricia Morrison reviewed it Thursday morning. 22 years on the bench. She'd seen hundreds of immigration cases. This one made her furious. Emergency hearing, 9 a.m. Her voice was ice. The petitioner was born in Minneapolis. She has a certified birth certificate. She's been employed for 6 years with continuous tax filings. She has no criminal record. She was detained without warrant, without probable cause. On what grounds is she still in custody? The government attorney stammered about routine enforcement. Routine? Judge Morrison's voice could cut glass. I've reviewed the body camera footage. Those agents walked past 14 employees and approached Miss Washington specifically. Explain the selection criteria. Silence. The petitioner is a United States citizen detained without constitutional authority. She is ordered released immediately, within 2 hours. Should agents need actual evidence before detaining citizens at work? Comment below, because this judge just changed everything. Kendra walked out at 11:22 a.m. Thursday, 47 hours after being taken from table 11. Still in her work clothes, black pants, white shirt, wrinkled apron, hair disheveled, eyes hollowed. Lorraine ran to her, wrapped her in an embrace that lasted a full minute. Curtis behind them, hand on Kendra's shoulder, jaw clenched tight enough to crack teeth. Sharon stepped to news cameras. Kendra Washington is an American citizen, unlawfully detained for 47 hours. We're filing a federal lawsuit. If what you've just heard makes you angry, you're not alone. Thousands of cases like this happen every year. But most never get this kind of evidence. Most people don't have 8 cameras recording their detention. Most people don't have a lawyer who happened to be eating lunch at the right table. Hit that subscribe button right now, because I'm covering more stories where the system fails people. And the rare cases where justice actually wins. You need to see what happens when these violations end up in court. The lawsuit dropped 6 weeks later, filed in United States District Court for the District of Minnesota. The complaint was 47 pages. Comprehensive, strategic, devastating in its detail. Named defendants: Agent Derek Holloway individually, making him personally liable, putting his house and pension at risk. Agents Maria Santos, Kevin Chen, Brad Mitchell individually, each one facing personal financial consequences. Their direct supervisor, Field Operations Manager James Preston. Regional Director Marcus Chen, who'd signed off on the operation without proper oversight. And the Department of Homeland Security itself, the institutional defendant with deep pockets. Violations alleged: Fourth Amendment, unlawful seizure without probable cause or reasonable suspicion. Fifth Amendment, deprivation of liberty without due process of law. 14th Amendment, selective enforcement based on race, denial of equal protection, intentional infliction of emotional distress, false imprisonment, violation of clearly established constitutional rights. Discovery destroyed ICE's case. The anonymous tip that triggered the raid, single phone call. No name, no specifics, just, I think Cedar and Sage has illegals. That became justification for a federal operation. Deposition of Agent Holloway, under oath. You approached Ms. Washington specifically. Why her? She matched a profile we were looking for. What profile? General characteristics, be specific. Long pause on the transcript. I can't articulate specific characteristics. You can't articulate what made you single her out from 14 other employees? Silence. The trial lasted 2 weeks. Courtroom packed daily. Day 3. All 4 body camera recordings played simultaneously on 4 screens. The jury watched in absolute silence. Holloway's dismissive headshake on his own camera. Kendra's tears in high definition. Handcuffs snapping. Audio synced perfectly. 23 minutes. Not one juror looked away. Day 7, Kendra testified. 3 hours on the stand. Sharon, describe the moment you realized they were serious. Kendra, voice steady despite trembling hands. When I saw the handcuffs. When I realized they were actually going to arrest me in front of my customers. People I'd served for years. The humiliation was voice-breaking. I wanted the floor to swallow me, because everyone was staring and I knew what they were thinking, that I must have done something wrong. Had you? I was born in Minneapolis. Looking directly at the jury. I've never broken a law. I pay my taxes. I work hard. I was building a life, and I got treated like a criminal because an agent looked at me and decided I looked illegal. Not because of evidence, because of how I look. Holloway testified, it went badly. Sharon's cross-examination. Agent Holloway, you stated you had reasonable suspicion. What was it? The anonymous tip mentioned the restaurant. Did it mention Ms. Washington by name? No. By description? No. So what led you to her specifically? She was working in the area we were monitoring. 14 employees were working. You approached one. Why her? Silence stretched. The jury watched. Court reporter's fingers hovered. Sharon? Agent Holloway, answer the question. I used my training and experience to determine what? That she looked foreign? That she looked illegal? Based on what observable behavior? Holloway's voice barely audible. There were indicators. Name one indicator that Ms. Washington exhibited that justified your approach. Nothing. The silence lasted 15 seconds. 15 seconds captured on the courtroom recording system. 15 seconds that said everything. The jury deliberated 6 hours. When they returned, unanimous on all counts. Foreman stood. We find for the plaintiff on all charges. We award the following damages. The courtroom held its breath. Compensatory damages. $3,200,000. Sharon's hand tightened on Kendra's shoulder. In the gallery, Curtis leaned forward, hardly breathing. Breakdown as follows. $800,000 for unlawful detention and false imprisonment. $1,100,000 for severe emotional distress and post-traumatic stress disorder. $400,000 for lost wages and diminished earning capacity. $900,000 for ongoing psychological treatment and therapy costs. Kendra was gripping her mother's hand so hard, Lorraine would later have bruises, purple fingerprints to match the ones on Kendra's wrists from the handcuffs. Punitive damages. The courtroom held its collective breath. This was the number that mattered, the number that would send the message. $6,500,000. Someone in the gallery gasped. The foreman continued, his voice steady and clear. This amount is calculated specifically to send an unmistakable message that racial profiling by federal agents will not be tolerated in this country. The jury believes this number must be substantial enough to create deterrence, to make every agent think twice before approaching someone based solely on appearance. The foreman looked directly at Kendra, then at the defense table where the government attorneys sat stone-faced. Total award, $9,700,000. For one heartbeat, the courtroom was absolutely silent. Then it erupted. Kendra collapsed into Sharon's arms, sobbing. Lorraine and Curtis held each other. In the gallery, Mrs. Patterson was crying. The birthday women from Table 11 had come. They cheered. Cedar and Sage employees who'd witnessed it all stood and applauded. The verdict made national news. Minneapolis Waitress wins $9.7 million after ICE wrongful detention. Federal agents fired after racial profiling lawsuit. Body camera footage costs government millions. Agent Derek Holloway terminated within hours of the verdict. Career over. Personally liable for a portion of the judgment. Agent Santos resigned rather than face termination. Chen and Mitchell reassigned to desk positions. Field careers finished. Supervisor Marcus Chen, demoted 2 levels, under investigation. ICE implemented new national protocols within 60 days. Documented probable cause required before any workplace detention. Supervisor approval mandatory for all field operations. Citizenship verification within 12 hours for anyone claiming U.S. status. Body camera footage preservation minimum 5 years. Quarterly bias training for all agents. Kendra used her settlement strategically. Paid off her parents' mortgage, the house on 23rd and Bloomington where she grew up. Donated $500,000 to immigrant rights organizations. She understood her citizenship gave her protections others lacked. Started a legal fund for wrongful detention victims. After 8 months of therapy for PTSD, the nightmares, the panic attacks, the inability to enter restaurants without terror, she went back to Cedar and Sage. Not as a server. Alex created a position, Director of Staff Development. She'd train employees, build culture, eventually move into management. Her first day back, April 15th, 8 months after the arrest, Kendra stood outside Cedar and Sage for 10 full minutes before she could make herself walk through the door. Her therapist, Dr. Amira Hassan, had told her this would be hard. Had warned her that the body remembers trauma even when the mind tries to move forward. The lunch crowd gave her a standing ovation when she walked in. 32 people, some who'd been there that day, others who'd followed her story. rose from their tables and clapped. Kendra stood in the doorway and cried. Mrs. Patterson brought roses, yellow ones, for friendship and new beginnings. The birthday women from Table 11 came specifically to see her return. Jessica Chen, the one who'd been celebrating that day, hugged Kendra tight and whispered, "We never forgot. We testified at your trial. We've been following every step. You're a hero to us." Alex had saved Table 11 for her. Not to serve, to sit at, to reclaim the space where everything had changed. Kendra sat there for an hour that first day, just breathing, just existing in the place that had been both workplace and battlefield. 2 years later, Kendra opened her own restaurant in South Minneapolis, small, intimate, focused on accessible fine dining for the neighborhood. She named it Table 11. She speaks at immigration reform conferences, partners with the ACLU on enforcement accountability, works with the National Restaurant Association on worker rights, uses her platform to amplify voices still detained, still fighting, still caught in the system. The body camera footage from September 24, 2024 is used in law schools nationwide, in civil rights training, in community forums about policing. 4 cameras, 8 angles, including security footage, 23 minutes that changed federal policy. It stands as permanent evidence. Racial profiling has a price. Constitutional rights matter. And sometimes justice comes with a receipt for $9.7 million. What would you do if agents questioned your citizenship while you were working? How would you prove you belong in the country where you were born? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this story changed how you think about enforcement and who gets protected in America, hit that subscribe button. These stories need to be told, heard, and acted on. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.